Hello everybody and welcome along to a brand new video, and well, we are 9 episodes in to Series 11, just one more to go. We're 24 hours away from the Doctor Who Series 11 finale. So yes, it's certainly been building up for this for a while. Of course, we've gone through 9 up and down episodes is probably the best way of describing it. Some thinking it's better, some thinking it's worse. Natural fan opinion, which is always fairly divided, shall we say. But we have finally reached the finale, the Battle of Ranskoor of Kolos. Not exactly the most smooth and slicker title we've ever had for a Doctor Who episode before. Rather clunky, it has to be said. But I'm still optimistic and looking forward to it. But what can we expect from this episode? Well, I think the first kind of big thing to say is that really nobody actually knows very much about this episode. Apart from the little trailer we've seen and the sort of synopsis we've read that there's 9 distress calls that the Doctor's having to respond to, and in the trailer we hear about her recognising a voice saying, "I've heard that voice before." That's about the sum of like firm details and information we've got about it, because there's 2 main reasons for that. The first is that there was no sort of leak or information or photos or anything from filming of this episode. So back when, probably in the summertime when it's filmed, there was no location filming that was caught on camera by any fans or anything like that, so nothing's leaked out from the production team or anything like that. So from that side of things, we know absolutely nothing about this episode. And secondly, and rather for me, very intriguingly, the Doctor Who, the production team, have decided not to release a copy of this episode to the press, to journalists, to be able to review the episode or preview it before it is actually released. Now, this is something that's absolute standard practice in all TV shows, hence why you see previews of whatever big drama it is in sort of Radio Times or on newspaper websites and things like that. It's just a system by sort of a way of promoting the show, by sort of giving it to the journalists for them to then write nice things about it before it airs. It's very standard across TV, and Doctor Who have been doing it since 2005. It's just the way things work. So it's very intriguing that for this episode they've chosen not to do that. They haven't given it to anybody, so nobody will have seen this episode going into sort of it airing on Sunday. Not any press, journalists, anybody, only very close sort of members of the Doctor Who production team, I would assume. And the only time this has happened previously, as far as I know at least, maybe someone can correct me, but I'm pretty sure the only other time it's happened previously for a whole episode, because they have pulled out clips. I remember fairly famously in Dark Water, they pulled out the quote about Missy and who she really was. And so for the only other time was Journey's End, was the full episode, where of course that was an episode where there was a pretty major cliffhanger leading into it, shall we say. So I think it's quite sort of is we going to get a comparable shock to that in this episode? I'm not quite sure. It'll certainly be intriguing to see. But it just does pose the question when they're doing sort of they're making it that secretive in that sense, which is such a like a once in 10 years sort of thing for Doctor Who. The fact they're making this so secretive, does it suggest that there is a big twist or spoiler or something major is going to happen in this episode that we don't know yet? Or maybe it is just bizarre and there's no real reason behind it, it's just them wanting to not show them the finale, I don't know. But certainly it hints at something bigger. And of course, with the rumours of the Daleks returning in the New Year's Day special, maybe that will be our cliffhanger for this episode. I'd love there to be a massive cliffhanger that leads into the New Year's Day special. That would just be such a great way to kind of finish out the series, really leave it on a high, leave people in anticipation and excitement for that New Year's Day special, and you must tune in to see what happens on New Year's Day. Something like that, rather than it just having a sort of limp end. They all fly off happily ever after, there's nothing leading into the New Year's Day special, and then the New Year's Day is just standalone. I'd be a bit disappointed, I think, if that was the case. So yeah, with the rumours of the Daleks, maybe that'll be the big thing. At the end of the episode or something, a Dalek will turn up. For example, maybe we'll have an episode focused on the Stenza and Tim Shaw. Certainly it seems very likely that Tim Shaw and probably more of the Stenza race are going to return for this episode, given that they were referenced to, they obviously appeared in episode 1, referenced in episode 2. The voice in the trailer sounds a little bit like Tim Shaw's voice, and they very much painted them as the big bad in the first episode of the series. So I think most people are feeling it's pretty likely that they are going to turn up again. But could it be that actually they're not the Masters, and it's actually the Daleks, throwback to like Invasion of Time, where it's actually the Centaurans that are running everything, and wasn't the Valdens, I think it was the names back then. So I don't know, maybe it's a little bit far-fetched, but something like that possibly. Or just suddenly like the Daleks turn up and take over or something and go and kill all the Stenza and try to take over the universe again or something. I don't know, but I hope that we get something big and exciting like that, because that really would just help this series to end on a high. For me at least, and I think a lot of the sort of Doctor Who fans, finales are a massive thing. I personally am probably a little bit of a sucker for a finale. I just love the big, epic, bombastic, ridiculous finales where the universe is ending or the world is ending and stuff like that, and like it's just kind of that the sort of stakes are heightened to 100, to 110 or something. Like, I just kind of love that all bets are off of what's going to happen. The stakes are as high as they can possibly be. Let's see what's going to happen in the big finale. So every single series, I always look forward to the finale episode, usually more than any other one. And with this one, because of the lack of information and the lack of any arc or any indication of what's going to happen in it, it's a little bit harder, I think, to get excited about this episode, simply because we don't know anything about it. Maybe if we did know a little bit more, then I would be more excited. I think the other, maybe, not disappointment, but slight concern is that this episode is only 50 minutes long. It's a single part 50-minute finale. And the only times that's happened previously in new Doctor Who to have a one-part finale and shorter episode is with Series 6 and Series 7, which were both 45-minute episode finales. And I think it's fair to say, certainly in Series 6 and probably in Series 7, they really could have done with at least an extra 15 minutes to make them a better story. So I guess that's just a slight concern, unless it is leading into the New Year's Day special and it's more of a kind of, not quite a two-parter, but kind of very much as closely joined two episodes, then that would be quite good and would sort of make up for that. But I'm just a little bit worried they might either try to cram too much in, or it just runs out of time. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that. Of course, I'm sure a sentence that will disappoint many fans is that this episode is written by Chris Chibnall. I'm willing to give him another shot. You know, I know he hasn't done a very good job this series. Ultimately, The Woman Who Fell to Earth was quite good, but apart from that, his episodes have probably been the weakest of the series so far. I think most people will agree with that. But I'm willing to give him another chance. I'm willing to give him a chance at Series 12. I said this in my Why Series 11 is a Disappointment video. I said that, yes, he's done a disappointing Series 11, but maybe hopefully he'll learn from that and improve in Series 12. Of course, there's no reason to believe that'll happen in the finale, but you never know. Maybe he's a better finale writer. I mean, he did write the Torchwood Series 2 finale, which was some of the best television I've ever watched. That finale is such a sort of utter heartbreak, emotional, all over the place, brilliant, cleverly written story. So he definitely can write a good finale and a good story in that regard, but can he bring it over to Doctor Who and really pump it all in? Particularly as, spoiler alert, as far as we know, none of the main companions are dying in this episode, because there's a picture, well, a promotional picture of them all in the New Year's Day special. So it feels more likely if somebody's going to leave, it's going to be on New Year's Day. But really, I don't know a huge amount more about what's going to happen in this episode. I don't think anybody really knows more about what's going to happen in this episode. It is just so unknown going in, and that is quite exciting. I'm quite looking forward to just having a complete kind of, apart from possibly seeing a Dalek and probably seeing Tim Shaw, that's about all I know about this episode, and that makes me quite excited. Not knowing anything going in is quite exciting, but sometimes it doesn't build up the hype in quite the same way. So I'm just going to kind of go in with an open mind. I feel started to enjoy this series more as we've gone through. I think kind of the second half of the series has definitely been better than the first half. Obviously because Chris hasn't been writing the episodes probably, but Kablam was good. I love Demons of the Punjab. Witchfinders was quite good. I love It Takes You Away. And so yeah, the second half of the series has really been a step up, even if it has still been lacking that one key thing which I would have loved, which was a story arc. And I think that's another reason why we don't know what's going to happen in this episode, because there is no story arc. There's no story to build to a conclusion, so we don't know what the story is going in. There was no cliffhanger into this episode. There's no real dangling plot strands from the series. So it's just very very hard to predict. But what about you guys? What are your fan theories for this episode? Do you think Tim Shaw's going to turn up and try and take over the universe? Or the Stenza are going to try and trying to desolate every single planet around? I don't know. I'd just love to hear what your guys' sort of top tips and top picks and theories you think are going to happen in this episode are. But other than that, I really don't have a huge amount more I can say about this episode, simply because I don't know anything else about this episode. But what I will say is that I'm going to be recording a live reaction to this story tomorrow. I afraid it will just be me, not Megan as well. But hopefully on Monday night you should be able to see my live reaction to the Series 11 finale. So that's something to look out for, as well as, of course, a review and the soundtrack. And also worth noting is that what the sort of news I broke in my Series 11 soundtrack announced video is that there is going to be a single released on Monday called 13, a 2-minute 22-track piece of music. I don't know whether it's a lyrics-based one. We think it's from episode 10, but whether it's a sort of a song or it is just a mix of 13's theme, I don't really know. But that's something else worth looking out for on Monday, as I say. But other than that, that's just about all I've got for this video. So remember to hit that like button down below, so subscribe if you're new here, and I'll see you again very soon for another one. Goodbye.